A. Harvard-trained doctor confessed in writing to killing 8 people and deliberately transplanting cancer into several more, and his career not only survived, it thrived. This is Cornelius Packard Rhoads. In 1931, a lab technician working in Puerto Rico found a letter sitting on a desk. Not tucked away, not hidden, just sitting there. The letter described an entire population as the dirtiest, laziest, most degenerate race ever to inhabit the planet. It said the island needed a tidal wave to wipe them all out. And then it said this: "I have done my best to further the process of extermination by killing off 8 and transplanting cancer in several more." The letter went public. There was an uproar. Investigations were launched. And Cornelius Rhoads, the Harvard-educated physician who wrote it, walked away cleared, became a celebrated cancer researcher, won prestigious awards, and had an honor named after him. Welcome back to the lab, my curious test subjects. Today we are examining the man who confessed to murder in writing and still made it to the top of his field. Let's begin. So what exactly did this letter say? Let me set the scene for you. The year is 1931. Cornelius Packard Rhoads, friends called him Dusty, which somehow makes this worse, is in Puerto Rico working for the Rockefeller Foundation. In Rockefeller Foundation terms, that means prestige, funding, and absolutely zero oversight. He is there with hematologist William Castle, investigating hookworm and something called tropical sprue. Standard public health work. Boring, even. And then a lab technician finds the letter, not in a locked drawer, not in a sealed envelope, just on his desk. Now, the contents. Rhoads described Puerto Ricans as the dirtiest, laziest, most degenerate and thievish race of men ever to inhabit this sphere. He wrote that what the island needs is not public health work, but a tidal wave or something to totally exterminate the population. Completely normal workplace behavior, obviously. And then he wrote the part that made this a scandal instead of just a deeply racist tirade. "I have done my best to further the process of extermination by killing off 8 and transplanting cancer in several more." Think of it like leaving your most unhinged group chat message on your boss's desk. Except, the group chat is about genocide. First one technician saw it, then the press, then the entire island. The letter was publicized. There was an uproar. And now Cornelius Rhoads had a serious problem. He had just confessed in writing to murdering 8 people and conducting illegal human experiments. Now you might be wondering, how exactly do you explain away a confession to murder? Here is where it gets fascinating in the absolute worst way. Rhoads said the letter was a parody, not a confession, not his actual beliefs. A parody. Others called it gallows humor, the kind of dark joke doctors make to cope with grim work. Spoiler, the apology did not include the words, "I did not kill anyone." He did write a letter of apology, but the apology was for the offense caused, not for, the alleged murders. And then the investigations began. First up, Puerto Rican Attorney General Ramon Quinones. He launched an inquiry. Then the Rockefeller Foundation, Rhoads' employer, the ones funding his work, launched their own investigation, in institutional investigation terms. That means they asked him if he did it. He said no. And they said fine. Both investigations cleared him. No evidence of wrongdoing, no charges, no consequences. First investigation, cleared. At second investigation, cleared. Pattern emerging. Imagine writing "just kidding" at the bottom of a murder confession and having that work. But it did work. Rhoads left Puerto Rico. He never returned. The Rockefeller Foundation quietly moved on. The story could have ended there. A scandal, an exoneration, and a quiet exit. But here is the thing about Cornelius Rhoads, my curious test subjects. He was just getting started, because while Puerto Rico never forgot, the American medical establishment absolutely did. So what happened to the man who wrote that letter? Let me tell you, it is somehow worse than you think. And by worse, I mean better. For him. Much, much better for him. Cornelius Rhoads did not slink away into obscurity. He did not retire quietly. He went on to have one of the most celebrated careers in American medical research. During World War II, he became chief of the medical department of the United States Army's Chemical Warfare Division, Mustard Gas Research, A natural next step after the whole cancer transplantation thing. After the war, he became director of Memorial Hospital in New York, one of the top cancer research hospitals in the country. In medical career terms, that means he went from confessing to murder to directing one of America's top cancer hospitals. He directed groundbreaking research into using mustard gas derivatives and other chemical agents in the treatment of malignancies. He was awarded many honors for his contributions to cancer research. It is like getting promoted to head chef after admitting you poisoned the appetizers. But the story does not end with his death in 1959. In 1979, an anonymous donor established the Cornelius P. Rhoads Memorial Award, presented annually by the American Association of Cancer Research to a promising young investigator. For 24 years, his name was attached to one of the field's most prestigious honors. And then, in 2003, protests erupted. People remembered the letter. His name was removed from the award. 72 years after he wrote it, the letter finally caught up with him. Chief of Chemical Warfare, Hospital Director, Award winner, Award namesake, and finally, 72 years later, a name too toxic even for cancer research. To this day, many in Puerto Rico see the investigations as a whitewash. They never accepted his parody defense, and they never forgot what he wrote. And all it took was calling it a joke, 2 friendly investigations, and a medical establishment willing to believe that I killed 8 people was just a Harvard man's idea of dark humor. Career saved. Let's recap for my curious test subjects. A doctor writes a letter confessing to killing 8 people and transplanting cancer into others. He calls it a parody. 2 investigations clear him. He leaves the island, joins the military's chemical weapons program, becomes a celebrated cancer researcher, wins major awards, and gets an honor named after him. That honor survives until 2003, 72 years after the letter, when protesters finally forced them to remove his name. The lesson? Institutional protection is a hell of a drug. And if you have the right credentials, the right connections, and the right excuse, you can confess to murder in writing and still die a decorated scientist. At Science. If this story made your jaw drop, hit that subscribe button. My curious test subjects, there's plenty more where this came from. Until next time, stay curious, and maybe don't leave your confessions lying around.